Well, here's GarageBand, basically when you open it up here. And I don't know if you guys are Mac or not. If you guys done Mac, I mean, you guys use some Mac over there. And this program might be a little bit easy for y'all to use, but it really is powerful in a lot of ways. And the concepts is what I really care about. Normally I go in there and show the folks about looping and finding beats and that and other. Well, today I want to kind of go and just use the MIDI sounds and the MIDI functions of GarageBand. I think that's one thing that a lot of folks don't realize. Back in the day, you actually had to make your own loops yourself, your own beats yourself. So on GarageBand, the default, you see this green. Whenever you see green, that's MIDI. So I got a grand piano here, so that's the sound I have. If I want to change the sound, I can just double click on that and all the rest of the sounds come up. So now I can pick a different sounds. I can pick up some different pads, as well as I can do percussion. Now, the difference between a GarageBand and some of the older sequencers is that the sequencers that they had in the late 80s and the 90s, pretty much you had to have a keyboard or a sound module that was going to play back the sound. Because what is MIDI? And that's always the question I always ask. What does MIDI record? What is MIDI? Data. It records performance data. So without a keyboard, if I play it back, you're not going to hear anything, because all of this is like a player piano roll. That player piano roll that can't play back anything. I have to actually use it as put in a player piano, and I might have to put in a specific player piano because I don't think all of them were interchangeable. So depending on what player piano you had, you had to get the right type of roll for it or put some type of adapter on it or whatnot. Well, MIDI. That was the beautiful thing about MIDI, is that if I take a standard MIDI file, I can take it from one sequencer and have it play on one keyboard or another keyboard as well. And they have something that was called a sound module, which is basically the size of a box or a book or something like that, that wouldn't have keys on it, that you could hook up a keyboard to, and it would play it back. They still make sound modules, but folks don't use them as much. In GarageBand, all these sounds here are made on the computer. And that's the thing that's really amazing, that all the stuff that we can do now on the computer that we used to have to do with equipment. I can record live audio. Well, at one point, the only way I could record live audio was onto a tape. And if I want multi-track, I need a multi-track recorder, so maybe have an 8-track reel-to-reel. And that was analog. That was actually a piece of hardware to do that. Now on the computer, I can mimic that, as well as a lot of other things. Synthesizers, you had to have synthesizers the size of this room with all these patch cords and everything. And now, basically, all the synthesis can take place on the computer. So a lot of things are so much easier today than they were 20 years ago, even 15 years ago. If you go back 30, 40 years ago, definitely without a doubt. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pick a kit. And basically, let's say I want to make some type of pop song. One of the most important things about whenever you make music, regardless if you make MIDI or anything else, is that you do what they call pre-compositional thought. I don't know. Do you guys write songs?
Not so much.
Okay. Well, whenever you make sounds, whenever you record a song, is that you really need to have a plan for it. So let's say I want to do some type of rock song. So I got a piano there. I'm going to hit the plus button here, and it gives me a choice between software or real instrument. So I want to do a software instrument. Alright, and then now let's say I want to do a bass next. I say, well, I don't really like that one. Try another one. Alright, so let's say I like that one. Hit plus, software instrument. And let's say I want to put some type of a pad on it. Now let's say I want to put my own drum beat on here. So I got 4 things going on. Let's say I want to do let's say a pop kit. Okay, good. And then I hit the little I here, and it's going to close that down and give me some more real estate here. So normally probably what you're going to do is you're going to record your drums first. And again, since we're recording in MIDI, that's all we're doing. So we're just recording performance data. So up here, I have the metronome, and I can also have a count in. So that'll give me 4 beats for nothing because that's what I set up. I can change the tempo down here if I want to. So if I want to make it slower or faster, I can change the tempo going up or going down with that. Say I want to make it a little bit slower. Okay. Now if I want to, so right now I'm using my hands just to find the beats. And if I hit record, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And now I got a loop there that I can expand that or not. Now there's 2 ways of doing this. Back in the old days, like with the older MIDI sequencer that I showed you all before this, is that you'd highlight it and then you'd copy and paste it. And you can still do the same thing. You can highlight it, copy, put the cursor where you want it, and then paste it. So basically these things are the same. They're not too different than anything else. Now there are a couple other things that we can do on here. Is I can click on it, hold down Option on the typewriter, and make a copy that way. So that's a fast way of doing it. And the other thing I can do is, because anything you record into it, be it audio or be it MIDI, you can loop. 50% and lower, I can make it smaller. 50% and higher, I can make it into a loop, and I can stretch that loop for as long as I want and go on forever. So if I listen to it back, now I got ears. It's definitely not perfect. It's not steady. There's a little hiccup there. So what you got is that this would go on back in the day too. So if I click on it, if I double click on it or hit the scissors, what comes up is a place I can come through and edit it. And I can go, all right, there's my little hiccup there if I want to. I can move it around if I want to. And this here makes it bigger or smaller. So I can actually go in there really, 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 really small if I want to. And I can kind of look what's going on there. Okay, well, I can make another note there, put that in there if I wanted to. I can click on it once, hold on Option, because the paradigm still works, and I can just drag it to where I want, like that. The other thing that we used to do back in the day is what they call quantize. Have you guys used quantize before? Heard of quantize? Well, quantize means and does, it pulls you onto a beat. Let's say you got a beat. You got 4 beats in the measure. All right, here's my beat. I can have different separations for it. So let's say that I'm doing quarter notes. So I got 4 beats in a measure, and my quantize is to a quarter, to 1/4 to a quarter. That means everything that I quantize will pull it on the down beats of 1, 2, 3, and 4. So if I do it 8 separations, if I do 8 notes on there, that means I got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So if it's 50% and over, it's going to go over to the next beat. If it's 50% and under, it's going to go to the first beat. So that's how it measures it. So if we look here, let me go a little bit closer onto here. And you sort of see the gradations of it. So on this particular one here, on beat 2 here, we see the beats. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4. We can see that there. So it's on the downbeat, and that one there is probably close enough where I can pull it to that one there, like that. So let's quantize this. And let me quantize this first to what's going to happen when I quantize this to a quarter note. Let's see what happens. See, I brought everything onto the beat, onto 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so I'm going to undo that. Let me quantize. Now I'm going to use this arrow here. I'm going to quantize the 8th note. Now 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. I'm going to do that. Let me quantize it this time to a 16th note. Now you got 4 separations per beat. So you see how that works? Is that depending on what you're quantizing it to, it's going to. And let's listen to a couple of those. Let me here's the normal. Okay, so that's the normal beat. Let me do it to a 16th note. Now let's hear how it sounds. Sounded like it made it worse than my ears. So I'm going to undo that. And let me quantize this one to the 8th note. That actually didn't sound too bad. It sounded like there's a back delay on that one. I'm going to do that. Now let's quantize it to the quarter note. This actually sounds a little bit better on that point there. Now if I quantize it to the half note, what's going to happen? Okay.
It's all lined up.
Yeah, this all lined up. So that there is useless. And I quantize it to a whole note, what's going to happen? So that's for whole notes now. So that would be useless for us. So you quantize things for different things. I might just go in here and quantize the hi-hat. And let's say I want to make that kind of funky. Okay. And let's say I'm going to quantize that to a triplet eighth. Alright, now I'm going to go through here and I'm going to quantize the kick drum. Let's say I want to keep that in the pocket, keep that really straight. Let's say I'm going to quantize that to a half note. So you can go here and quantize things different ways. And if I want to, some of the more advanced sequencers, you can like double click on like the piano there, and it will highlight everything that's on that beat there. And let's say I want to quantize that to let's say a heavy swing 16th. So this is definitely all going to sound pretty something. I don't know what it's going to sound like. Let's hear how it sounds.
Yeah, the beginning was sounding kind of good there for a little while, and then it just kind of went off.
Yeah,
right there.
Yeah. So you
take those first 2 beats and then just leave those 2.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you see how this works though? How quantize works? So you may want to quantize a bass line differently than a hi-hat, and you may want to quantize a piano track. You know, if your ictus is an 8th note, 1 E and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, well, you can quantize that all to 8th notes. So it's do 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 do. You can do that, but if you don't want anything syncopation in there, anything funky in there, you probably want to quantize to the 32 or 16th. So it's going to keep that funkiness still in there. It's not going to bring it all straight down on the beat. So let's quantize on there. Now let me go on here, and of course I can go through here and solo things or mute things if I want. And if you don't know what it is in GarageBand, if you hover over it, it usually will tell you what it is: solo, unsolo, mute or unmute track. enable or disable recording for this track. So that's the cool thing about this. If you don't know what it is, there's a lot of help now in comparison to the old days of things. So let's say I take a piano track. Let's say I want to do some type of solo, but I'm not that good of a piano player. Well, check this out. I'm gonna pull the tempo down really slow. So let's see what I got. Let me hit. Okay. Now, if I play it back, it's going to play it back at that tempo. But guess what? Let's say I wanted it at 108. Now, and if I and if I double click and let's say I want to quantize it to now let's try to swing in 16th just for grins. And so I selected all Apple A there. Let's hear how that sounds. Okay.
That last chord does.
And that last note, I plugged it up a little bit.
Yeah, it doesn't sound too good.
And then so I can just click on that note. I know that's off here because I can see that's a B, and when I
Can move it.
I can move to another node, or I can just get rid of it. Just get rid of it. So, I mean, and if I want to, I can expand this out, make it last longer. So there's a lot because when you record performance data, that's what you're doing. When you're not recording the actual acoustic audio, you're just recording performance data. And just like a piano roll, well, if I want a whole note, I can do it, or I can keep pulling that down and just make it as long as I want. I can make it that note last forever. Now, there's the decay on the piano, of course. But if I want little fast notes, and there are actually some classical composers that would do this avant-garde stuff, and they no one could play it in real life, but they could go through there and do that themselves. So let me I'm gonna mute that as well, and let me say here's a bass line. Let's say I want to record the bass line, so let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Okay, so I got a little bass line going on. It's going to play back. Now, if I wanted to make sure, okay, I want to make sure that's really tight. Let me quantize that to the quarter because that's kind of what I wanted. Now let's hear it. Yeah, that's pretty tight. That's definitely right on the beat at that point there. There's no doubt about that. That's right on the beat there. But let's say I wanted to make this. That's the 1 chord there, basically what I was doing. Let's say I wanted to go to the 4 chord. So when I say 1, 4, 5, do you know what that means in lead sheet terminology? The 1, 4s and 5s. If I'm in the key of F, those are the major chords. Okay. So if I take the 1 chord, which is going to be the F in the key of F, 1, 2, 3, 4 is B flat. That's the 4 chord. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's a C chord. And usually it's 5, 7 because it's going to be a 7th chord. And do you know the difference between a regular chord, a triad, and a 7th chord? Or the dominant 7th chord, actually?
Yeah, it's the 7th scale degree.
Yeah. Well, it's a flatted. It's that flatted 7th in the 5 there. That gives it what they call a dominant field. That wants to be resolved to the 1 chord. the 5/7 chord. Is the song over? Now it is. So that 5/7 chord is a really strong draw on there, and so we use that a lot. So let's say that I want to have this be, that's the 1 chord, all right? And I go look there, there's the F. So let me double click on this one here, which I option clicked. And now, because it's not audio, it's MIDI, it's performance data, I can just move it. Now, I can tell you, I don't know how, you guys know your intervals quick enough? How many half steps are there between a fourth? Between the root note and a fourth? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So that means I can go up 5 half steps. And now, if you listen to this, hear that? Now that's going to be on the 4. Now, if I'm doing some type of blues, I can hold on that, that's the 1 again. And let's say I want this time to go to the 5. So how many half steps away is the 5 from the tonic? Is a fifth away from the tonic?
That's 6, right?
Almost. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's 7. So I can go 7 up. 7 half steps up. And now we'll listen.
6 would be an augmented fourth, right?
Yeah, that would be bad. And then. So you can record the one bass line in, and you can go in here and you can make copies of it, and then transpose it up or down. Now I can do the same thing going down. Do you guys know the magic 9 rule? If an interval goes up a certain thing, to reverse it, you subtract it from 9, and it takes you down. So let's say if a fourth going up is a fifth. What's 5 subtracted by 9?
Down 4.
Yeah, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 5. 1. So if I want to do 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay? So basically, if I want to do a fourth going down, it's going to be 5. So I can say I can go down 5. Or if I want to go down a fourth, I'm going to go down to the B flat chord, which is the 4 chord. I go down 7. So it just reverses on there. So if you remember your 5 and 7, that's going to get you depending if you're going up or going down, you can figure that out there. So that's how you can transpose very easily on here. Now, what's something that you're not going to transpose? Hopefully. What about percussion? You want to transpose percussion? No, you don't want to transpose. Yeah, you want to keep that percussion. So don't go through here and globally highlight or on another sequencer to transpose that way. Okay. All right. One last thing to kind of show you the dime tour of how to do some of this stuff. Back in the day, and what I did, I just made it smaller so I can have the beginning of the screen open. Back in the day, they had drum machines, and that's basically how the hip hop sounds started coming out in the late 70s and early 80s and whatnot. And now, instead of spending years learning how to play drums, you have a machine that can play it back, and you can program the machine and it'll play it back for you. So if I hit this button right here, that's the loop recording. See all this yellow up here? That's how long the track is that you're going to record. And what I just did, I'm playing 3 things at the same time. But what I can do with loop record, 1, 2, 3, 4, kick down, 2, 3, 4, kick, 2, 3, 4, kick, 2, 3, 4. And now I'll do the snare drum. And the hi-hat. And some alternative percussion. And so far, I'm going to learn that forever if I want to. Now, what happens is this: is that if you're inexperienced, I made that mistake right here. If you're playing drum set, what's the maximum amount of things you can play at one time on a drum set?
2, 3, 4.
And maybe 5 or 6 if you got cymbals going. That's it. So if you got like 30 things going on your drum line, that's probably too much because if you're trying to mimic what a percussionist can do, that's way too much. Yeah, you might have 2 drummers or something like that, or you might have someone to do an ethnic percussion along with someone that's playing trap set. But that's one of the things is that on here I can have 30 things going on, especially with this loop overdub here. So when I turn the loop overdub off, now I got something I can loop. And then we'll listen to it play back. It's going to play back exactly what I put in there. And now I'll loop it over. And if I want to do the same thing, I can go through here and quantize it if I wanted to. I can select it all. Let's say I want to quantize it to the 30-second note. Just kind of line things up a little bit better. And you can actually see it there how it changes. So if you let me do that. See how it went back there? Watch up here. See how it moved a little bit. I think they probably made it worse, but anyways. And also on here, you can see the notes as well if you can read notes. That's kind of a useful thing to have to put on there. So that's basically the MIDI functions on GarageBand. The cool thing again is this is always cool. This is something that I don't think folks really think about a whole lot. Let's say I got this piano line here. I can duplicate that track if I want to, and then I can say, you know what, I want that also on an organ sound or a clav sound or something else. And so now I can highlight that, option it down, and now I got these 2 playing at the same time. Or I say, you know what, let's make it even thicker. Let's turn that one into electric piano or something. And I keep on layering this forever. That's something that I can't do with audio. Once I record a harpsichord, I can't change it till bassoon. Here I can. And if I want to, I can say, all right, let's go in there and find, if I want to turn that to trumpet or something like that, I could do that, or something else. And I turn to a horn section if I want a staccato horn section. And also I can balance the audio, and we'll talk about mixing on another session, but you can also mix how loud, how soft things are going on in here as well with audio that way, as well as another one. Okay? Any questions about the basic MIDI functions on GarageBand?
A lot more than I knew about.
Yeah. There's a lot of things, and you can make a lot of music with that as well on that.
Especially since I don't have a keyboard.
That's not a problem.
Well, I know they have that keyboard. Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I write a lot of soundtracks for music for movies. This with this here. Because again, I can slow things down and speed things up.
Right.
And if I got my laptop with me, I don't have to worry about dragging around a full keyboard. So I do a lot of things. Yeah, I can play on this thing. That's not a problem. Yeah, I can play along with that. If I need to change something, I can go through there and make it change. I even can jump up and down octaves if I want to by just hitting those keys there.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, that's not a problem now. Not for me, and I play piano, so you know I can adapt to that if I needed to on there.